Welcome to Catalytic Leadership, the podcast designed to help leaders intentionally grow and thrive. Here is your host, author, and leadership and executive coach, Dr. William Attaway.
Hey, it's William, and welcome to today's episode of the Catalytic Leadership Podcast. Each week, we tackle a topic related to the field of leadership. My goal is to ensure that you have actionable steps you can take from each episode to grow in your own leadership. Growth doesn't just happen. My goal is to help you become intentional about it. Each week, we spotlight leaders from a variety of fields, organizations, and locations. And my goal is for you to see that leaders can be catalytic no matter where they are or what they lead. I draw inspiration from the stories and journeys of these leaders, and I hear from many of you that you do too. Let's jump into today's interview. I'm so excited today to have Jeff Zelaya on the podcast. Jeff is a seasoned entrepreneur specializing in sales and marketing consulting. With over 15 years in the industry, he empowers organizations to reach their potential. Jeff excels in identifying opportunities, generating millions in revenue for his clients. As an entrepreneur, Jeff's journey was driven by creating something of his own and promoting balanced success beyond revenue. He guides CEOs today from various sectors, fostering work-life balance, positive environments, and customer satisfaction. Throughout his career, Jeff mastered million-dollar deals, turning a franchise into a seven-figure company in 2 years. His guidance focuses on branding, digital marketing, and leadership. A frequent speaker at AdWorld and the Commitment Summit, Jeff shares the stage with John Maxwell, Kevin Harrington, and Jesse Itzler. His energy and knack for simplifying complex concepts makes him highly sought after, and I'm so glad you're here. Jeff, thanks for coming on the show.
Man, who is that guy? I don't know.
I'm looking forward to meeting him and talking to him, and here you are.
That is an amazing introduction. Wow, thank you for, I could tell you did your homework on me, you did your research, and even in preparation for today, really just getting to know each other, and just thank you for that due diligence. And I'm also very honored, to be a part of this show, because I've been following some of the things that you're doing with the concept of leadership and teaching and coaching. And I'm so excited just to have a conversation with you today. So thank you again for your time.
I'm looking forward to this. I really have been looking forward to it since we first talked, Jeff. I'd love for you to start by sharing some of your story with our listeners, particularly around your journey and your development as a leader.
So I think in my family, I've always been seen as a leader. And the reason for this, I think, comes from just my childhood. My family came to Miami from Costa Rica. My mom seeking a better life for her children. And, she may not know the culture, not know the language. And as a first generation American, right, I have to lead the way, right? Kind of be a translator many times. Understanding the culture a little bit better, being able to show her stuff, teaching her words, and being a leader in the household. So I think at an early age, it was something that just was thrusted on me, and I had to step into it, right? And that means being responsible, being trying to figure out the way, right? Teaching others, mentoring. So it's been kind of instilled in me from the very start, just having that leadership mindset. Serving others, looking to help, and figuring out ways where you could have an impact, and always leading first, I think, in your family, and then that translates to leadership within business, within the community, and ultimately, one thing we're all beginning also leading ourselves, right? How can we do a better job of leading ourselves, which we could talk about in our discussion today.
That's so good. And I love that you described leadership as a mindset, because I think that's so helpful, that language. It really does begin with how you think about your business, about your team, about people, about your clients. It all begins with how you think about them and with how you think about yourself, leading yourself. You've led in a number of different contexts and various sizes of organization. How would you define leadership?
So leadership, the way I would define leadership is, and I would borrow this from my mentor who helped me develop my leadership, is a leader is someone that knows the way, they go the way, and they show the way.
Yeah.
And that's what a leader is in different aspects, right? So when I'm following, let's say, a leader in personal fitness, maybe I hire a coach, someone to lead me. I expect that coach to have done it before, to have worked with others and have helped others get from point A to point B. Can they do that for me? Right. So I look for that. Are they doing it themselves? Right. Many people they do a great job preaching and talking about leadership. But then when you actually look at how they're doing leadership, is that a true embodiment of a leader? Okay. So there's all these different aspects. For a leader, for me, right, how I would define it is they know the way, they go the way, and then they show others the way. And that's a leader that I want to be.
I think that's a leader that's a leader of integrity, where all the parts of their life are integrated together. We've all seen examples of people who talk the way, like you say, but they don't actually do it. That's a leader worth following, though, when you find somebody who does.
Yeah.
You work a lot in the entrepreneurial space, in addition to being an entrepreneur yourself.
Yes.
Are there things that you see, common threads, if you will, among the entrepreneurs that you talk to and the entrepreneurial journey you've led? Are there things that you see people need to be aware of, or pitfalls or dangers, things to be mindful of?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them out there, Dr. William. And I'll be honest, I think that's the first lesson that I learned as an entrepreneur is you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And I know if you're watching this podcast or listening to this show, you probably don't want to hear that. But guess what? You're going to fail. But it's all right. It's not failure if you learn from it. And that's the entrepreneurial mindset, is that these people, if you're an entrepreneur, you're admitting that you're going to make mistakes, right? You're going to get some things wrong along the way. There's not a single entrepreneur that has reached a high level of success without having a few failures under their belt.
That's right.
So I think that's the first lesson we're going to, be exposed to, is that failure will always be looming. Be ready. Be prepared. As a leader, that's what you could do, right? You could focus on the preparation. We may not know exactly what's going to be on our path, because the path that we're going, no one's been down this path. Yeah. But I tell you that there is an obstacle. There will be a roadblock, but I give my team and instill that in my team and in myself. We're prepared. We're ready. Our mindset is ready. Our skill set is ready. We have the right players on our team. We're ready. Good. We're going after it, and whatever comes our way, together, if we're in it and we follow our plan and we are prepared, we can get through it.
That's not good just for entrepreneurs, is it? That's good across the board in every sphere of your life.
That's right.
You either win or you learn something. Yeah. You never fail. There's no such thing as a wasted experience.
Yeah. Yeah. It translates to different aspects of your life. Like a lot of the same things that I'm doing in my business and the mistakes that I'm making there and the lessons I'm learning, I'm also transferring to my family life, yes. Right? For example, the importance of having values and being aligned on values, something so simple but profound, and it could make a profound impact on your family. Yes. Imagine if you as a family are able to agree upon a certain set of values that our family is after these things. And we're going to catch each other doing these things and promote each other when we're doing these things. And if we're not doing these things, we're going to call out each other and say, hey, you're not living to the values of our family. And the same is true for business, right? If you want to have a business that succeeds and grows and thrives, especially in difficult times like now, you have to be surrounded and aligned on those values that you have for your business. Because we could always point back to that and say, hey, as we make these decisions, these tough decisions, are we adhering to the values that we agreed are the fundamental of this business, of this family, right? So as a business owner, always look for that, entrepreneurs, right? As you learn the business or our business lesson, and I translate this to becoming a better husband, a better father in some way. And the same thing is true on that side, on the family side. As you become and learn lessons in communicating with your spouse, for example, right? Those could apply for business. And I'll give you an example of this, right? And this is just recently happened. I failed, Dr. William. I failed. My wife came to me with this big problem, and I failed because I jumped in right with the solution right away. I said, babe, I got the perfect solution. And guess what happened? You've been married, right?
Oh, yeah. She didn't want the solution right then.
No, she just wanted to vent. She wanted to
Yes.
talk with somebody. And guess what? On your team, that may happen too, in your business.
Yes.
So you need to be able, and with customers, it happens too. I've had many times an unhappy customer. All they wanted to do, they want me to fix it. I didn't need to give a discount. I didn't need to do anything aside from listening, acknowledging, empathizing. So again, always look for ways, right? As you become an entrepreneur, I don't know where you're at on your entrepreneurial journey, but look for those lessons that translate into all aspects of your life. And that's going to help you level up in leadership everywhere, everywhere.
That's so good. I think listening is one of the most underutilized and frequently undiscussed leadership tools in our bag. Like, it's so powerful, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. And I love that you brought that up, because I think leadership is a game changer. Like, or listening is a game changer in your leadership. When you learn truly how to listen, not just pause while you formulate the next thing you're going to say. That's not listening, right? But actually listening to what the other person is saying, hearing their heart even. And that's a game changer in how you lead your team. And like you mentioned, even in the home, with your spouse, with your kids.
And think about how can I become a better listener? So here's an example, right? Can you believe AI can make you a better listener? At least help me be a better listener. Here's how. I used to be sometimes distracted in these types of calls, right? I was busy writing down notes, and my notes became doodles. I have ADHD, and I think a lot of people out there suffer from that, right? Entrepreneurs, sometimes chase shiny objects. Distractions are looming everywhere. But here's how AI has helped me. It's recording the call, and it sends a great summary of the call. And now I could better analyze that conversation. And now I could go and look at my notes. Okay, great. I forgot this part, adding to the notes, listening, right? Finding better ways to listen. How can you do that? One of the things, another kind of little tip, right? Trick. This is not AI. This is old school stuff. Is just repeating what the person is saying. Sometimes our minds are going really fast, and we could listen a lot faster than someone could talk. So why don't give your mind something to do, just start repeating the words that person is saying. And as you say them yourself mentally, you're going to also feel them better. So it can help you better connect with that person is saying. So again, what are little hacks, right? Little things, little tricks that can help me become a better listener. Here's a simple one, right? Another simple one that I tell my team, just run it back. Run it back. Whatever they told you, whatever you heard, right? Run it back. Hey, I heard this. Was that accurate? Did I hit the mark? Run it back.
Oh, good.
So little things you could do, right? But I would say become an avid listener and look for ways to up as a leader, right? How can I level up my listening game? How can I show my team doing a better job of listening? Here's one that I'm doing right now is I put my Zoom video, right as close to my camera as possible. Because when I communicate with my team, I want to be able to make it seem as I'm looking them in their eye, right? Eye contact, body language, right? If I'm listening to you, I want to make sure I'm giving you my body is straight. I'm not distracted. I'm not looking down. I'm not on my phone. Listening. How can I level up my listening? So I just gave you in this minute, I gave you 3 things you could do, 4 things you could do to listen better. So I want you to try those and tell me what happens.
Definitely love that. That's so good. And that's so practical. I think everybody listening can put this into practice immediately. You've learned so many things in your journey as an entrepreneur, and so many. I mean, I hit some of the high points in the intro, but the lessons you've learned have been significant, and now you pass those on when you speak and teach others. If you were to think back over your entrepreneurial journey so far, what would you say is the most important thing you've learned?
I think that no success in business could make up for being a failure at home. And I think that's such a, I say that lesson, and I say that because I've come across entrepreneurs that have given me words of wisdom, words of pain. I felt the pain. I said, okay, when someone gives you something painful, you got to share it. Hey, don't go listen to this guy. I heard his pain. You don't want that pain. Yeah. It's the pain of someone that sacrificed so much that in the end, they sacrificed all that mattered. In the end, ended up with something that they thought that mattered, and it didn't really matter. It didn't really matter. So think about that as you're building your business, right? how can I build my business without losing those things that really matter at the end of the day? Businesses come and go, but your health may not. Your mental health may not. Your kids, those precious moments may not come back. Your spouse, they may not come back, right? These are the things that truly matter at the end of the day. So I think that's like the ultimate lesson is, don't get caught up in the entrepreneur, give it all grind culture where, it wears you out. It crushes you. And I think that's an important lesson, that balance thrive. And it doesn't mean that you don't make sacrifices, right? You could be in the middle of that season where you got to put in the work. And that may mean, having to work those extra hours, finding, pulling from activities maybe to devote to your business. But you'll know, right? You'll know when you're on that edge of things are starting to fall apart. Correct it. Don't make those mistakes that later on you may regret making.
Like you, I've watched too many entrepreneurs sacrifice their spouse and their kids on the altar of their business, right? And it's always with the phrase, well, I'll make it up one day. I'll make it up later. The problem is that you don't get those minutes back. You don't get those days, those weeks back. One day somebody else is going to sit in the chair you sit in at work. Somebody else is going to do what you do. Then what? I want the people who are closest to me, I want those relationships to be prioritized. So that the people closest to me are the ones who know me best and respect me the most because of the integrity of my priorities with my relationships. And that's what I hear you talking about. And I hope everybody listening hears the heart behind that. Because I think for both of us, we have watched people wreck their lives, wreck their relationships in the pursuit of success with their business.
And Dr. William, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. Yeah. I'm not perfect at it. I make my mistakes.
Me too.
All the time. It's a matter of the mindset, right? Bouncing back, learning from it, continuing to push, right? And creating that future, knowing that you have control of your future by the decisions that you make, the disciplines that you create, the habits that you create that later create you.
Yeah.
So be intentional about those things and start working towards it. And there's hope. No matter how lost you think things are, you could turn it around. In your family, you could turn it around with your spouse. It's not over. It's not over. There's still hope. So for anyone that's listening, just do what you need to do. There's still a chance. All right. If you really want to go after it.
Jeff, you do a lot of work in the agency owner space, right? Like yes. I do. And I know you have a really neat perspective on trends in the digital marketing arena. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what are some of the trends that you see shaping where we're going?
Man, so right now, AI. Oh, baby, AI. Have you heard of this?
I heard something about it.
AI. Like I was saying, AI. That's the trend, man. Like everyone's on it. Like everything that you see is AI powered, right? Like it's going to be just a matter of time. We're going to have AI powered TVs, AI powered cars, AI powered toothbrushes. Like who knows? That's really literally the wave. But honestly, it is actually having a huge impact in the marketing space. Like we're finding ways to do our job a lot better, right, and faster, right? Here's an example. Last night I was working on a campaign on LinkedIn that normally would take me hours to do, just meticulous research and homework that I would have to do, combing through profiles and digging up keywords. With the use of ChatGPT and creating these robots within ChatGPT, I can now have this work that used to take me hours before now done within minutes. So it's a huge, time savings. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I optimize AI? And I'm sure every agency owner, there is exactly what they're working on is how can I figure out how to utilize AI in my agency? As a way to help me with my process, as a way of me helping my clients better. But that's where the focus is at. And marketing is always like kind of the early adopter. So they're always taking it on. But now I'm seeing AI kind of bleed on into other things, right? Like AI in sales, AI in accounting, AI in finance, AI for doctors. Who knows? AI for other industries, right?
Yeah.
But I think marketing is definitely leading the way with everything AI right now. So that's the hottest trend.
Mm. There's some fear, I think, that comes along with a new trend like that. And I talk to a lot of agency owners who are exhibiting more than a little fear about what this could mean, for what they do a year from now or 5 years from now. Do you think that fear is well placed?
Well, I mean, you can expect that with any type of new innovation that comes around, there will always be some type of fear, right?
Yeah.
Whether when the computer first came around, there was that fear. When the internet first came out, when social media first came out, and what happened? We had to adapt. We just had to figure out a way to, integrate that into our lives. And that's just exactly what's happening now, right? You could either be fearful or figure out, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to really stop this change from happening. It's going to happen. It's inevitable, but what will I do? How will I react? What's my plan? Right. So that it may mean for those that are in fear, it may mean, hey, that means that I'm fearful because my skill set could be replaced by this AI. So guess what I could do? I could upgrade my skill set
There
to
you go.
skill set that AI can't do.
That's right.
AI can't interview like you do, Dr. William. AI can't interview.
I hope not.
A few years we may be
That's right. I got to keep up in my game. That's right.
But that's the fun part. That's what I really love marketing because it's always changing, right? It's never boring. Like it's evolved so much just in my lifetime, and it's since its inception, right? Like just all the evolution it's gone through.
That's good.
I love that about my field, and but that's definitely something that people are scared of AI. Like just again, my advice to those that are fearful is figure out why, address that fear, and then adapt, right? Pivot, right? Retrain, whatever you need to do so you could become, deal with that, right? You're going to have to do. Don't be consumed by the fear.
I think that's fantastic advice. And I want to take that and I want to turn that just a little bit aimed right at you now. Your company needs you to be a better leader today than it did 5 years ago. And a year from now, or 5 years from now, your company's going to need you to lead at a higher level. What are you doing to up level your skills, to stay on top of your game as a leader?
So one of the main things that I'm doing, that it was my intention and my goal for this year, is to surround myself with people that are smarter than me, that are more successful than me, that are richer than me, that are better look. Well, they don't have to be better looking than me. I'm pretty good. But you know what I mean. I'm just, I'm trying to get in the right circles, right? In the right rooms, because that's what I realize over time, is getting you to that next level of success because you're around people that have done it, that, like I said earlier, that know the way, and they've gone the way, and they're very eager to show the way. A lot of these successful people, you'll be, at least I was pretty surprised by it, that they're very generous with their time. If they feel like someone's listening and paying attention, actually implementing the things that they're showing those people, they'll be more than willing to share their secrets and share how they got to where they got to. So I'm trying to get in those rooms, right? I'm trying to level up my leadership by being around people that are inspiring me to be a better leader, that are showing me things that I could be doing, blind spots that I may have in my leadership, that being around a better leader than myself, right? I'm able to be exposed to that, right? So I think that's one of the main things that I've been doing. And then the other is just communicating with and learning with, having more one-on-ones, right? Like, for example, this podcast, this interview with you is something that has been my goal this year, is to be able to get into conversations with people that are in the field, that are talking to many other leaders, and to learn from them, right? And see what lessons that they have, because now I'm not just getting wisdom from one leader, I'm getting wisdom from one leader that knows and has had conversations with hundreds of leaders. So our conversation now, I'm getting a lot of that wisdom from you, right? So that's what been one of my goals, to connect with these influencers, these thought leaders, these centers of connections, right? And be able to create a relationship with them that exposes me to their community and exposes me to their network, where I could learn as well as add value and provide some type of value to their community as well.
I think that's brilliant, because you're not just thinking about today, right? You're thinking about 5, 10, 20, 30 years from now. That's a legacy perspective, because you're building relationships not just for today, You're building connections, not just for today. One of the best things I ever heard from somebody was when we were talking about networking. And I said, so what's your biggest lesson from networking? And she said, my biggest lesson is I wish I had started 30 years before I did.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good, because that tells me that you're not playing the short game.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a short game player. Everything I've read and learned about you, Jeff, is that you don't play the short game.
Yeah,
Right? You're thinking long.
exactly. And I like to get paid. Like William, there's different ways to get paid. I'm not talking about credit or check either, or cash. You could get paid obviously in currency, right? Whatever that is. You get paid in skills. As a apprentice potentially, or an intern, you get skills you learn on the job, and that's going to help you be able to provide more value and gain a bigger paycheck. You get paid in experience, right? If you've been there, right, there's a compensation for that. If you've been with an IPO and you've been with the team that's won, and you've been on an award-winning production, right, there's value to that. You get paid that way. Then you get paid in connections. Connections are currency, right? So I'm very focused, as you said, in building social capital, because that's money in the bank for me. Yeah. I may not see it tangibly right now, but I'm working hard. Every time I meet with you and we have a good interaction, there's a deposit that's being made. You're depositing in me, I'm depositing in you.
That's right.
And I'm making those deposits. I'm building that social capital. So when the time comes and I need to make the withdrawal, there's money in the bank. There's money in the, I don't have to worry about overdrafting. I don't have to worry about even checking to see if I have enough to cover my bills. I can ask for that favor. I can ask for that help. And no one's going to bat an eye and say, why am I? No, yeah, for sure. What do you need? Right? That's what they pick up the phone. They reply to that email. That's what I want. That's social capital. I've been building that over years, making those deposits. Every time I like, every time I comment, every time I message somebody, every time I add value in some way, every time I give someone a compliment or smile, that's social capital. It's built over time. But here's what happens. Here's what many people do, is that they don't deposit. They don't make deposits. And they're quick to withdraw. And then they wonder why things aren't happening. Their check is bouncing. Their card is declined. They have nothing at the register. Yeah. Because they have no deposits made. They're quick to withdraw. So you want to be that leader that's constantly making deposits around you to the ones that matter, and even the ones that don't matter, because they matter to somebody. So make that deposit. Make the deposit selfishly. Give, and it will be returned to you and multiplied.
That's such a good challenge, man. It's such a good challenge, I think, for everybody listening, because we so often focus on what we can't do. And I think what you're challenging us to do is, hey, start where you are. Start with what you can do. Anybody can make a deposit in somebody else. One of the things I love about our conversations is when we do talk, I walk away having learned something I did not know before. And that's something that you deposit into me, right? And that doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time, right? And you make that investment again and again and again in so many other people's lives. And every person listening can do the same thing.
And let me give you a piggyback to that, an addition to that. So not only can you share something that will help someone gain knowledge, right? Like Dr. William, I shared a piece of insight, he gained knowledge. He shared a piece of insight with me, I gained knowledge. After a while, people forget what you said. Yes. But they don't forget how you make them feel.
So true.
Make them feel a certain type of way. Make them feel energized. Make them feel excited. Make them feel good. Make them feel inspired. They're going to remember that feeling.
That's right.
And they're going to remember that feeling. So when they talk to you, they're ready for that, right? And that's the kind of charismatic magneticism that you could build as an amazing leader that is looking out for others, that is constantly on the lookout to make those deposits.
So true. I think especially in the world we live in today, it's so notable when somebody makes you feel valuable. Like you're a valuable person. You're worthy of their time and their investment. It's so notable because it's rare. You want to stand out, you do exactly what Jeff is saying. You want to stand out, you want to make a difference, you make these type of deposits. I love that. Jeff, if you were to go back and talk to yourself when you were 20 years old, knowing what you know now, and you could tell yourself one thing, what would you go back and tell yourself?
I would say always continue to work harder on yourself than you do at your job. Okay, because I think early on in my career, especially, there was a time where I got very consumed in my job, right, in my business, and helping someone grow their business, that I didn't really upkeep my personal brand. That I kind of forgot about myself, posting stuff up for myself, creating my own thought leadership, and Zelaya kind of got left back a little bit. So I would say, if my words of wisdom to my younger self would, like, don't let that happen, like continue to do that, right? Now I feel like I'm doing it now again, like starting to do that. And I've had other success, everything's happened for a reason, but I think if I would have continued that, it would have helped me even more. But I think that's good advice for anyone that's starting to build their personal brands, just to be consistent over time. Don't let things sidetrack you, because no matter what, you go with yourself everywhere.
That's right.
Your business may close down, your job may get laid off or fired or get another job, but your name, right, that's going to always be with you. So keep investing in that, building your brand, having your own website, having your podcast, creating content, right? Just being cognizant to always make investments in developing yourself as a personal brand.
That's great advice. You're a continual learner, Jeff. You are constantly learning and growing, and this is a priority. And you've alluded to that a number of times on this show already. I'm curious, is there a book that has made a big difference in your journey? One that you would recommend that every leader listening put on their to-read list if they haven't read it?
Yeah. So I got one right here. I got two, actually. So I got one that is kind of like the basic. Like, I think like everyone and anyone should listen to this or hear this or read this, right? But it's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So this is like a classic. This is like the first book that my mentor gave me and said, hey, you got to read this if you want to be on my team. And that was my homework. And I had to read it, take notes, did a book study. And that really kind of shaped a lot of my leadership, got me focused around that mindset, just kind of the growth mindset and learning and developing. And the more kind of later on in my career, when I focused more on sales and business development, this book is really special. I encourage this one, especially if you're in sales and doing like a consulting type of sales or high ticket type of sales. It's called The Trusted Advisor. The Trusted Advisor by David Maister. And it's just really great in terms of like, how do you become a trusted advisor? Because that's what you want to be seen as in the eyes of the prospect. You don't want to be seen as just a sales consultant. No, you want to be more than that. You want to be a trusted advisor, someone that they could count on to give them the best advice, whether it's, whatever it is your craft is, right? Financial or marketing in my case, right? But I want to be, and here's just a quick summary, right? We talked earlier about leadership, listening, how that's such an important part of leadership, listening. So here's what great listeners don't do. Okay, what great listeners don't do: they don't interrupt, they don't respond too soon, they don't try to match the client's point, they don't jump to conclusions, they don't ask close-ended questions for no reason, they don't give you ideas before hearing yours, they don't judge you, they don't try to solve your problem too quickly, and they don't take calls or have interruptions in the course of the meeting. So just a couple of notes that I wrote here in one of the chapters in this book, but really I highly recommend it. It's called The Trusted Advisor.
Oh, that's so good. I have not read that one. Now I have to check it out.
Man, you got so many. I got to hear some of yours, Dr. Willie.
I love that, man. That's awesome. How to Win Friends and Influence People was one of my first in this sphere as well, and I can't recommend that one highly enough. But now I'm all excited about the Trusted Advisor. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Typically, Jeff, people are going to walk away from an episode like this with one big idea, one thing that's stuck in their head. If you could define what you want that one big idea to be, that people walk away from you with, what would you want that to be?
I would say to define your family values and your business values, and to ask yourself, am I living by those values?
Good.
Just a simple, big idea. And I know that's helped me. Like I always thought about values for a business, never thought about having values as a family. So one day I took my kids and my wife, and we all wrote down kind of what we thought our values were, or our family values were, and we looked at each other's, and the ones that were overlapping, we agreed those would be the family values, and we created those for our family. And something that you could do as a family, as a business, right? But just think about what are those values, and then are we living by them?
Mm.
And then trying to catch people living by those values, encouraging those values. And if they're not, right, addressing that, right? Why aren't we living by those values? What's the gap? Why is that happening?
Mm. I love the intentionality there. It's so powerful. Jeff, I know people are going to want to stay connected with you and continue to learn from you. What is the best way for them to do that?
Well, the number one best way to reach me is LinkedIn. So I am very active on LinkedIn. I'm one of the most recommended people on LinkedIn. I have over 160 recommendations on LinkedIn, over 20,000 connections. Again, very active. So you could find me there at Jeff Zelaya. Just look me up. I'll pop up and send me an invite, a request, and I'll be more than happy to accept your connection. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out. You can message me. I respond to those directly, but would love to hear from you there. But you could also follow me on Instagram. I love Instagram too. I share a lot of my personal stuff there. And I think that's important, right? If you're going to do business with someone, you want to know, like, at least myself, like I want to make sure, like I want to like them, right? I want to like them, know them, trust them, right? So I think that's an aspect of what I use Instagram for, is just to share more about myself, my story, my family, and that side of Jeff. So feel free to follow me there at Jeff Zelaya. But I look forward to seeing you guys and connecting with you. And Dr. William, thank you so much for this opportunity. You are an amazing man. I appreciate every single one of our conversations. You have so much influence in our space. When it comes to digital agencies, I see you working on coaching and developing programs that are helping people break through and having higher levels of success, not just in their business, but in their family. So I really commend you for all the great work that you're doing to make a difference in people's lives. And I appreciate that, and I'm inspired by it. So, and thank you for this opportunity to be on your show today.
Well, Jeff, I appreciate, man, that means a lot. And I appreciate our conversations too. You always challenge me and make me think new thoughts. And I can't think of a better compliment than that. Thanks for joining me for this episode today. As we wrap up, I'd love for you to do two things. First, subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you find value here, I'd love it if you would rate it and review it. That really does make a difference in helping other people to discover this podcast. Second, if you don't have a copy of my newest book, Catalytic Leadership, I'd love to put a copy in your hands. If you go to catalyticleadershipbook.com, you can get a copy for free. Just pay the shipping so I can get it to you, and we'll get one right out. My goal is to put this into the hands of as many leaders as possible. This book captures principles that I've learned in 20 plus years of coaching leaders in the entrepreneurial space, in business, government, nonprofits, education, and the local church. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn to keep up with what I'm currently learning and thinking about. And if you're ready to take a next step with a coach to help you intentionally grow and thrive as a leader, I'd be honored to help you. Just go to catalyticleadership.net to book a call with me. Stay tuned for our next episode next week. Until then, as always, leaders, choose to be catalytic.
Thanks for listening to Catalytic Leadership with Dr. William Attaway. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss the next episode. Want more? Go to catalyticleadership.net.